Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
IVM Likes is an IVM production, and if you enjoy our show, do check out the On Course podcast. If you're a student planning to study abroad and wondering how to go about it, hosts Akhil and Alisha have all the answers for you. From financing your education to decoding that application process, they cover it all on the On Course podcast. Check it out. If you're a listener of IVM Likes and a socks fan, which I'm sure is a Venn diagram that's totally possible, I have great news for you. Just check out the Moja Club. They make amazing funky socks that you can buy on their website. Or even better, just get a subscription. Sign up for 6 months or a year and you'll get a pair delivered to your house every month. They'll even throw in a free pair at the end of the month. And if you go to their website, themojaclub.in right now, you get a whole 33% off by just applying the code IVM Likes. It's IVM Likes with no spaces, 33% off. Did you hear that? Themojaclub.in.
Hello and welcome everyone to an all-new episode of IVM Likes. This week, the servants have taken over this episode in terms of Sharanya and May not being here. So it's only me, Navin Narona, that is, if you know who I am or care who I am. And we have Abbas in the studio. Say hi, Abbas.
Hi.
Abbas is the producer on IVM Likes and a bunch of other shows like My Neighbor Zuckerberg and Rediscovery. We have Alika in the studio as well. Say hi, Alika.
Woohoo.
Oh, hi.
Alika is nicely sitting here and comfortable, as much as she wants us to believe that she's not. But she is. She's ready and she's enjoying this episode.
Already.
Alright, so happy May the 4th to everybody, first of all.
Yes, may the 4th be with
May
you.
the 4th be
us all.
With us all. We're all wearing nice Star Wars t-shirts. Abbas has Boba Fett on his t-shirt. Alika has Yoda and I have Darth Vader. So we're all one happy family here. And today on IVM Likes, we're going to talk about the usual recommendation round. We'll be recommending movies, books and TV shows. And we'll move on to the second part of the episode, where we'll talk about it being May the 4th, about Star Wars and what is our favorite moment, or our moments rather.
Favorite moments.
Abbas moments from...
Oh, okay then.
Okay, this is only between us now.
So this is how it's going to be for the next 20 odd minutes.
Making more puns out of Abbas's name.
Oh, dear.
And Alika's.
Oh, no.
Gupta. Anyways, so here we are, and first of all, we'll go with Alika. Alika is going to recommend a book this week.
Oh, yeah. So I'm going to be recommending a comic for change, not a book. This is the comic called Hawkeye, written by Matt Fraction and artist David Aja. And it ran from about 2012 to 2015. It's got about 22 issues, and if you want to find it, you can find it on the Marvel website.
So this is the Jeremy Renner Hawkeye.
No,
then?
It is certainly nothing like the Jeremy Renner.
I mean
Hawkeye.
the Hawkeye character from Marvel. Rather.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is about the same character. Okay, so I guess most of the listeners have seen Avengers, so you know kind of who Hawkeye is, played by Jeremy Renner.
The guy who would have done great in Mahabharat, but was in Avengers by mistake.
Clearly, yeah.
I always question that. Like, why a guy with bow and arrow will be eligible for a superhero team where there are gods and then there's Iron Man and stuff?
Exactly, and he actually explores this in this series of comics about Hawkeye. So this series is about Hawkeye when he's not with the Avengers, so when he is just dealing with life on his own for the most part. And so he's not fighting like aliens or giant robots and stuff. He is basically fighting like the mafia who are trying to take control of his building. And you know, it's really funny, it's super heartwarming. You see like a lot of the comedic side of Hawkeye, which kind of got cut out in the movie. And it's also like super, like the art is amazing. It's really minimalistic, but it's got so much emotion behind it. And it's got a lot of cool things which you don't see usually in comic books. There is a full issue which is told from the perspective of a dog which Hawkeye rescued.
Oh, nice.
This dog is, by the way, now dubbed by fans as Pizza Dog, so he's already the best character.
Is the comic book in black and white then?
No, but it's got like a different shading and tonality to it from the dog's perspective.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah, and they have a full issue which is done in American Sign Language.
Okay.
Because at some point Hawkeye, spoilers, goes deaf for a little while. So yeah, and it's actually a thing about him in the comics. He is deaf for quite a bit of his life. So they did a full issue in sign language, so that was really cool. It also explores a bit of the relationship, the mentor-student relationship between Hawkeye and Kate Bishop, who also calls herself Hawkeye, but she's a little bit more badass than Clint Barton.
Okay, so does he wear the purple costume though in the comics?
Yeah, I mean, well, he doesn't wear the costume that much, but like, you know, because purple is his thing, like most of his clothes are purple.
And if he's taking like obviously, as you said, there's a landowner problem, right?
Yeah.
So how does he solve these issues? Does he like become the nicer guy, or does he like shoot them off?
He tries to like negotiate with them, and then when the negotiation fails, he goes into a bit more violent negotiation, which
So,
is
like,
called bows and arrows.
Correct. They come out then.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I've read a couple of the issues of this run.
Yeah.
You said that this is pretty much separate from what he does with the Avengers and all of that.
Yeah.
So how many issues is the run in all?
It's like 22 issues. And you can read it without having read anything
Exactly,
before.
that's what
or
I was
after.
coming to. So, are there cameos? How does, because the Marvel is known for having these mega events, how did the writers kind of keep Hawkeye away from the mega events that are happening in the rest of the Marvel universe and this particular character?
So there are like cameos from like Iron Man, who comes as Tony Stark, or Spider-Man is there. But the cameos in this are more like them hanging out together instead of actually, killing bad guys together.
Right. Okay.
So it's a very like, it's kind of familial sort of comic, but I guess it takes place in a time frame when there aren't that many massive
It's
events
more
happening.
self-contained.
Yeah, you can totally read it if you haven't read any other Marvel comics before or after. If you know the Avengers movie, it's good enough.
And where does one get this comic book?
You can find it on the Marvel website as a digital comic or on Comixology, and I guess you can buy the issues of Amazon. Or if you find a comic book store in India, please let me know, because I'm looking for one too. That would be
Eventually, you have
great.
to buy it anyways, right?
Yeah.
That's what we are propagating here. Please buy your comic books.
Yeah.
Do not.
Do not download them illegally from
please.
sites like comicbooks.com.
I would say if you and I'd say if you like the first season of Daredevil, the Netflix series, it's kind of really like that. So if that's the sort of aesthetic you want to go for, then definitely read this comic.
Nice. That sounds like a good reference point.
Interesting. And this actually came before the Netflix
Yeah.
series. Oh, okay.
So they probably looked for inspiration
Maybe,
there.
yeah.
Because very grungy in its own way, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So next up we have Abbas. Abbas is going to talk about a TV show this week.
Yeah. So I'm going to talk about a TV show. It's a mouthful, so try and remember this. The show I'm recommending is called Gortimer Gibbons' Life on Normal Street. It's an Amazon original. So the target audience for this show is somewhere around 6 to 12-year-olds. But it's hard to explain this, why I like it without kind of telling a little personal story from my life. So I'll just explain it in a gist. So my summer vacations in standard 9 and 10 are like my happy place. Like if I had to cast a Patronus, I would think back to those summer vacations because I had nothing to do. So I had these long stretches of afternoon where all I would do is read adventure novels, little adventure novels all afternoon long. And this show kind of recaptures that feel for me, right? So it's meant for kids, but it's very different from your average Disney, Hannah Montana, Wizards of Waverly Place. Like for me, those shows were like high on sugar all the time because there was so much happening.
Accurate.
This is a much more laid back, a little, I won't say mature, but it doesn't dumb down things for kids. It's a little more sophisticated, I would say. So the basic premise of the show is it's three friends. The show is called Gortimer Gibbons' Life. So there's this guy called Gortimer Gibbons, and he has two friends, a boy and a girl called Mel and Ranger. And the trio of them give a very Ron, Harry, Ron, Hermione vibe, which is to say that Gortimer Gibbons is like the straight boy. He's basically reacting to whatever is happening around him. And Ranger is like the clown, like he gets the funny lines, he does the goofy stuff, and Mel is the brainy one. She gets to she comes up.
How
with
young are these kids?
They're about pre-teens, about 12, 13, 11, 12, 13-year-old. And they live on this street called Normal Street. But every episode they go on some sort of an adventure. Now what I really like about this show is that the conflict of every episode is in some way magical or supernatural. But if you apply your brain, you can see through it. Like, no, it's not actually that. There is a reasoning behind it. And the makers and the writers of the show kind of throw the ball in the audience's court that which version would you rather believe? The more magical, wondrous version that the kids are willing to believe, or the boring adult version where you can see through the conflict and be like, oh no, this can't happen, right? So it's like every episode they go on a little adventure, and in the end they learn a lesson, but it's not like the moral of the story kind of a way. It's very sweetly done. And I would like to give a special mention to the score. The original score is very nicely done. And this is the last thing. So every episode, the one thing I look forward to is that in every episode they always have this little subplot, which is one of the characters either narrates a flashback or someone narrates a story, and in that little section they use different methods to recreate that. So let's say someone is narrating a story, so they'll go into a flashback. In one episode, that flashback will be done through puppets. In another, it'll be done through claymation. In another, it'll be done through 2D animation.
Nice.
So it's almost like every episode I'm looking forward to what subplot they're gonna
Nice.
portray this time.
That's cool.
So it's a very nice. It's I won't say don't expect something amazing, but if you were into the Famous Five or the Secret Seven, that kind of a thing, that you want to go into that little zone of adventure books, do check out Gautama Gibbons' Life on Normal Street. It's on Amazon Prime. 3 seasons are out, and I think the next one is going to be the last because the kids are growing up.
Yeah.
So,
Can't keep
but
doing that.
at the end of a tiring day, it's a great show to just unwind and feel good about yourself.
Yeah. You know where the kids don't grow up? On
Why?
Tarak Mehta Ka Ulta Chashma. It's a callback to an
earlier episode where Navin admitted to a guilty pleasure.
I actually enjoyed Tarak Mehta, and that is not the best thing I'm proud of. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about a film that I like. This is 2013 movie called Coherence. It's a sci-fi thriller, and it's got a very nice classic setup of like friends coming for dinner, meeting at a party, and they all come together, and then a meteor strikes near the house. So that meteor strike creates apparently like a multiple dimensional pathway around the house. So if you're going to be a character that's leaving the house and going out for some time and coming back, they're not going to enter the same house. It's going to be in a house in a different dimension.
Okay.
That sounds really cool already.
This movie is amazing. It's ball tripping crazy, because what happens is the relationships start unraveling. The meteor strike is just like a added dimension to the story, but what happens really is like the human aspect of it comes out, where somebody slept with someone, or somebody's lying to someone, somebody's probably had a baby they dropped or something and didn't tell the husband, and in the other universe they've told the husband. So like all these unsureties, so they start giving each other color tags to identify who is who, and they beat each other up, like a woman has to beat her own husband up to keep him in closer, because he doesn't know if it's the husband who left the house or it's come from a different house. So, and that's why the movie is called Coherence, because it's not coherent at all. It takes a multiple viewing also to get to like this movie, but in a sense, what it does is it makes you question if the person sitting next to you on a dinner table is really your friend or no, in that regard. The movie is directed by James Ward Burkett. I hope that's the right name. And it's got no famous names as such. The actors are probably Maurice Sterling is the only person we might have heard of. Everybody else is primarily like not so famous, but the way they've acted in these roles, it's mind blowing. This movie really blew my mind.
So I have one question, especially with movies like this, which have alternate timelines. Does it have a satisfying ending? Or
It does.
Okay.
It probably, because one woman isn't the focal of it, the entire story. So you see most of it from her perspective, and you get what is happening in the end. It's chaos. It's always chaos. But then you also are invested in this so much after a point in time where you're like, what is happening, guys? So yeah, it's a fun movie. It's called Coherence. It came out in 2013.
And is it like a big budget movie?
No, it's not. That's what I'm saying. The actors and everything. It's a very small setup. Like, don't even bother showing the meteor strike so well. It's like they're sitting in the room and some light goes out in the end, there's noise. So they look out and like, oh, something happened. So the budget was not so much spent in obviously special effects, but more in the writing, I believe. The writing was strong. So that's what obviously most movies lack nowadays.
Exactly.
They don't want proper stories, but want bigger stars to sell their movies. And that's where the problem is. But yeah, definitely check this movie out. And that brings us close to the round of recommendations. Alika recommended a comic book called
Hawkeye by Matt Fraction and David Aja.
Correct. And Abbas.
Gautama Gibbons' Life on Normal Street.
It is a mouthful. And I recommended a movie called Coherence. It's directed by James Ward Burkett. And that's a round of recommendations. We'll be taking a quick break and be back with our main topic that we're going to discuss, our favorite Star Wars moments.
Hello listeners, my name is Munaf Kapadia.
And I am Nabil Merchant. We are the co-hosts of the show My Neighbor Zuckerberg.
On this show, we invite ordinary people who have extraordinary stories to share.
Tales of creativity, persistence and struggle. We call them entrepreneurs.
Tune in every Monday to listen to their journeys. We are available on iTunes, Audio Boom and the IVM Podcast app.
Back again on IVM Likes, and now we move on to the part we really actually
Yes.
excited about. We were just like trying to get this out of our system. So now it's May the 4th. It's Star Wars Day,
Yeah.
and we're going to talk about Star Wars. And yes,
That was my
Yeah.
imitation of a Star Wars theme. John Williams just.
Are we all
hiccuped
just
a
going to
little.
imitate themes that
Because if we play the real one, we'll be sued. So
Oh.
we have to.
Can you do the Imperial March?
Yes.
Do it.
Okay,
okay,
that's good.
The best part
You
is
can go on forever.
I'm pretty sure they don't want to listen to this.
They do want to listen to this. So currently, we were talking about before we even came in, we were talking about Star Wars a lot. And what would you start off with, Alika? Your favorite moment from all of Star Wars? And we're counting like even the in TV shows, like if you're going to count Clone Wars or
Okay.
Rebels.
Okay, you may hate me a little bit, but I'm going to say one of my favorite moments was from episode 1, The Phantom Menace. Please don't sick on me
It's
later.
okay. It's okay.
Okay.
That movie has
Yeah,
good moments.
we're
Yeah.
very accepting
Okay,
of
look.
everyone.
Look, that pod racing scene was so good. I don't
Navin
care.
was like, you just lost me at pod
If you
racing.
said that mall fighting scene at the end, I'd be like,
I am
"Well, I
gonna-
forgive you. It's
I was
okay."
going to get to that second. But, okay, look.
The pod racing was... Okay.
No, it was great, okay? I had video games where I was playing pod racing and I used to play that game like at least 10 hours a day. It was so cool,
What was
okay?
cool about it? Come on.
I was so young when I watched it. And
That
then-
was cool.
That was
Okay.
cool. So you're young and impressionable and you'll take up anything that's done in the name of sci-fi, right?
No, I mean, come on. The racing and everybody like trying to sabotage each other during the race was amazing.
Oh, that scene where Jar Jar Binks drops his pana in before the...
Not Jar Jar Binks. Okay, I did not mention Jar Jar Binks. Okay, those words did not come out of my mouth. They came out of Navin's mouth. Please go after him.
You saw things. Anyways, so that was your favorite
Pod
moment.
racing.
No, it's one of.
One of the... Okay.
Okay, yeah.
The second moment better be...
Yeah.
good.
Oh, am I supposed to give all the moments right now? Because I have like a lot.
Well, all
Let's
the
do
moments are in Abbas'
top,
family.
top. Let's do like top 3.
Okay.
So pod racing's one.
That's technically not in my top 3, but it's like a 5th. Let's say 5th. But yeah, okay. Another moment which was really good was when Yoda is teaching Luke how to master the Force. And then he gives his line, do or do not, there's no try. And then Luke tries to like levitate that spaceship and he doesn't. And then Yoda does it. And it was like so cool. Okay, that moment was amazing. And the whole setting, the swamp scene, and he was what I'm not sure if this was exactly correct, but he was like standing on one hand, upside down.
He
trying
stands
to
on
do
one
it.
hand right before that sequence.
Right. I don't know. I found that whole scene like a little chilling, especially that line, do or do not. There's no try.
In that same sequence, so Yoda then brings out the X-wing.
Yeah.
And then Luke says, "I can't believe that." And then Yoda says, "Which is why you fail." And that's that for me was like, oh damn. It's
That Yoda
like,
never came back really in the movies.
Actually,
No,
yeah, it never did.
Good old puppet Yoda.
Yeah, man.
That was good. Good times.
Frank Oz, the
Yes.
great Frank Oz.
Yes.
responsible.
All right,
So do
Abbas.
I get to go now?
Yeah,
okay,
you
I
get
was
to go.
waiting for my turn.
Oh.
Okay,
But
so,
remember, I am also left.
yeah, of course. So I'll try and space out moments from the prequels, original trilogy, and the recent one. So I'll start with the most recent iconic Star Wars moment. The moment in Episode 7 when Kylo and Rey are having the fight in the snow, and the lightsaber is in the snow, and Kylo tries to go for it, and the lightsaber wobbles a little bit, and you feel what's gonna happen? Is the lightsaber gonna go to Kylo? Is Luke gonna return? And it
Yeah,
just
my first thought was Luke is going to show up. over there
for
and-
me too, but it flies into Rey's hand, and that is such an amazing moment.
yeah.
Like it was moments like those that I missed in the prequels, which just gave you goosebumps. That hero's journey kind of a thing. Like it pretty much marked the arrival of Rey as the character to look forward to.
yeah.
And then of course she kicks Kylo Ren's butt right after that. So that is one really iconic moment. The other one, I'm going to just jump around. In Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, when Palpatine announces the establishment of the First Galactic Empire, Padme sitting there with I lose my thought, with C-3PO and Leia's adopted father. General Organa,
Yeah.
Padme and C-3PO, and Palpatine announces the Galactic Empire, and Padme just says, and everybody is applauding this great move. And Padme just looks at this and says, "So this is how liberty dies, with a thunderous applause." And there have been so many political moments in the past 1 year or so that I've found that moment to be very, very accurate. So that's another moment.
So every time somebody claps for a joke at a comedy show, Liberty just died a little bit, guys. Liberty just died.
This is not at all pertinent to real life issues happening in different parts of the world currently.
Yeah. George Lucas did not foresee this at all. The third would be when Leia chokes Jabba the Hutt in Return of the Jedi.
Totally
because it's almost like she's getting all this frustration out of him dressing her like a slave, and she takes the initiative and just chokes the shit out of him. That's a very therapeutic moment in Leia's life. I think she's just getting
and Jabba as a character does not say anything, like nothing coherent rather.
Yeah.
And we still hate him so much because he's a fat blob of...
He's a slug, like he's a slimy slug. That. And the last one, a very cliche one, but I saw this moment without having known anything about Star Wars. The "I am your father" moment.
I feel like that
Empire
may be a
Strikes
spoiler
Back.
moment.
No, now everybody knows.
No one cares.
But exactly, because when I saw Empire Strikes Back for the first time, I didn't know the twist. So for me, it was like what? Like
no, I knew the twist before because a lot of people have been spoiling it for years
exactly,
now.
Yeah.
Every pop culture reference to Star Wars has to have "I'm your father" reference.
Right.
So I knew it that Darth Vader was going to say that line to Luke, but I was into it 2 movies down, right? And I was like, okay, I'm so invested in this movie, I'm gonna find out this anyways. But the way I found out, like I was so invested in Luke's character, and as his story arc progressed, and he became from an underdog to someone who really went and fought with the Dark Lord himself. I think that was turning point. But I'm glad you mentioned Jabba the Hutt, because the whole scene where first Harrison Ford is like Han Solo is taken to surrender, and he's carbonite. And then my favorite scene over there obviously is he looks at Leia and says Leia looks at him and says, "I love you," and he says, "I know," and then he goes down. I'm like, oh. I'm still getting good.
Yeah, of course.
And when obviously the turning comes around and Luke helps in rescuing them and he gets choked, I'm like, and also because the more you look at how Jabba was built back then, there was no CGI, right?
Right, exactly.
And like Lucas tried that with the re-upload where he tried to put Jabba walking next to Han Solo in a digital, and it was like bad. Obviously,
that was so weird.
So there were 4 guys inside the Jabba Hut controlling everything from his
eye,
for the pipe
tail.
blowing. Also, one guy was like literally smoking inside. So the Jabba can smoke and everything. And that was amazing, guys. I think that in itself kind of brings together what Star Wars is. Like the universe was not made up, but more like they made it along as they went along, and they invested themselves so much in it. They had to care for it. So even Darth Vader, we love him so much because we gave so much time giving a shit about his character. And if the prequels had done it right, we would have probably loved him even more.
Yeah, that's true.
But then Rogue One did a great tribute to the character.
I know what you're talking about. Yes.
And my favorite,
the last 15 minutes.
This probably might be the favorite scene of all time in all of Star Wars, when he literally wreaks havoc and tears everyone a new one, while like trying to obviously have the plans back. But
that's how Revenge of the Sith should have ended with Darth Vader just destroying, instead of that stupid no thing that Vader does.
No.
that was pathetic. But yeah, that Rogue One scene, even though it seems very put on and just added to give the story a little bit of an uplifting thing, but still,
it was so good.
Because it's shot also very beautifully, right?
Yes,
like first you see there's
darkness,
and then he starts breathing,
and then that one
glows.
That's the first lightsaber.
I saw it in IMAX and I was like, oh my god, the collective sigh in that theater. Everybody lost their shit. And he is just going berserk, tearing everybody up, really lifting them up, and that is classic Darth Vader. And I love that scene for that. And that was
Jabba the Hutt.
That was Jabba the Hutt trying to take revenge of the Sith. So that's pretty much our recommendations and our favorite scenes from Star Wars. May the 4th is a very important day for a lot of us nerds, because we'll go back now and watch some more of Star Wars.
With that Rogue One scene.
With that Rogue One scene, And any other moment you want to throw in just for like...
I love the moment where Luke finally unmasks Darth Vader at the end when he's, about to pop it. It's called dying.
The Dark Lord.
I'm just
popped it.
I was trying
some acid, man, and then the dark side was so colorful, man. I was like, what?
Oh god!
I was like, whoa! I could see stars and stuff.
Okay,
what are we doing in space?
I'm not going to use any more euphemisms ever again.
Maybe you should just pop some acid and go into a galaxy far, far away.
Whatever. I really
We
like
had to
that
milk
scene.
that.
I really like that scene
Yeah.
because it was super emotional.
Yeah,
And it made Darth Vader like a human. I mean, he was at that point Luke's father. He was not Darth Vader.
And that is what Hayden Christensen will look when he's older.
Oh God,
Yeah.
no, don't want to think about that.
Even Hayden Christensen, dude, like I see, he's so awkward in general. He came back for the 40th celebration,
yeah,
and he was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"Guys, you still love me? Oh my God!" I'm just like overwhelmed by the fact that people still give a shit about me.
I think in episode 3, Hayden Christensen is still bearable. Episode 2 he's just creepy.
no.
Also,
okay,
because
look,
Ewan
look.
McGregor is kicking everybody's ass in episode 3. He
Ooh,
takes over.
Ewan McGregor reminds me one moment that I kind of forgot. In the very first 1977 Star Wars, when they go to the Mos Eisley Cantina and Luke orders a drink, and there's this guy who just comes and is like, "I don't like you." And at that moment, the old Alec Guinness, Yoda, I'm saying, Obi-Wan, comes and cuts his hand off, right? And so in the original trilogy, we never really saw the badass side of Obi-Wan. In that one moment, we kind of see that. Like, yes, I am calm. Yes, I am a Jedi. Yes, I am Zen. But if you push my buttons, I'm going to cut your hand off. That was pretty cool.
There's a theme about cutting hands off
Yeah,
in
it
Star
is.
Wars.
Yeah, there is an entire video essay on just hands in Star Wars.
Please link that to me at some point.
And there's also a GIF where like Luke's hand gets cut off and
Maz Kanata
Kanata
is
comes
there.
and pops and she carries the saber and goes.
Yeah,
she gives it to Rey years later.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's I think we can
Yeah,
never
we
stop
just go-
talking
we just
about
gotta go
Star
on and
Wars
on, yes.
if we go on. There's like so much of it. Rebels is also a great show, by
It's a
the way.
great
I just
show,
want to
yes,
drop in
yes.
and say that I have watched all 3 seasons of Rebels that are out right now.
Yeah, in fact, Rebels is a great show. You can watch Rebels if you kind of want to bridge the gap between Episode 3, Rogue One, and the original trilogy. Also, Clone Wars is amazing. One thing about Clone Wars I want to mention is that the prequels, as bad as they were or as much as we hate them, it actually did have some very interesting villains which didn't get enough screen time. Like Grievous, Dooku, Darth Maul.
Correct.
They're all super cool bad guys, but they never got screen time, and they get a lot of screen time and arcs in Clone Wars.
Correct.
So check out Clone Wars if you want to see these characters being fleshed out.
And even the Grievous fight scene with Obi-Wan was really nice. Like in terms of its execution was done very well. And yeah, so I think we should really stop right at this. One more mention of
For
any
the
other
third
character and
time.
we'll be like, yeah. So that is our recommendation.
So,
Once again, we'll take a round of recommendations, what we covered.
I recommended Hawkeye, a comic book by Matt Fraction and David Aja.
And
I recommended Gautama Gibbons' Life on Normal Street on Amazon Prime.
Okay, and I recommended the movie Coherence, came out in 2013, and all our recommendations are obviously from certified sources, so you can trust us to not let you waste your time. And that's it. That's us from IVM Likes. So if you like this episode, we are obviously all over the internet. You can check us out on Facebook, Twitter. IVM Podcast is the name. You can tweet to us and tell us your recommendations, what you want us to talk about if you want to. And check my show out. It's called Keeping It Queer, and it's all over the internet again. My Facebook page is Navin Narona. My Twitter page is no_Rona. Alex.
You can find me on Twitter at Cape Fox Alex, spelled ALIX.
Okay.
And I am at Abbas Momin. That's ABBASMOMIN.
Give me some Abbas moment. And that's our show, guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out
IVM Podcasts
to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.